Hi, my name is Gloria and I'm going to be doing my presentation on graffiti today. Have you ever walked along the side of a building and look at what was painted on the outside of the building wall? Well, did you know that these paintings are called graffiti? Many people think that graffiti isn't art, it's vandalism to them. And some think it is art. Graffiti can be argued and proven that it isn't some illegal activity, it's art. Many people think that graffiti isn't art, it's vandalism to them, and some think it is art. Graffiti can be argued and proven that it isn't some illegal activity, it's art. These interesting images we tend to see on the side of the building come from artists who have lots of passion and love for what they do on these walls. Graffiti isn't just a nice, pretty, or cool picture, it's an image with 1,000 of words and meanings behind it. Not only is graffiti considered art, but it is playing a huge part in the education field. Kids tend to interact with graffiti in many ways. Matt Christensen is a visual arts and mural design teacher at the City Arts and Technology High School in San Francisco, California. He talks about many reasons why you need to teach graffiti in your classrooms. In his intro, he instantly says graffiti inspired the curricula can engage, motivate, and advance every student, whether you teach in a rural community or a bustling city scene. Bringing graffiti into the classroom can transform students into artists. Most people may believe that graffiti is still vandalism, but in all reality, graffiti is just another picture painted on a much bigger canvas with meaning and emotions. Not only is graffiti used on the outside of a wall, but it's also used inside a classroom. Graffiti is proven that it helps young kids interact and express themselves at a young age. To begin, I will be talking about how graffiti can be argued that it is art and not vandalism. In one of the articles I encountered called Graffiti Art, Why Graffiti is Art and Not Vandalism, it states many critics would argue that you don't need talent to paint a scruffy tag. However, art is subjective and there will always be good and bad artists within every moment. Those like Retna prove that as any art form. Graffiti can be exceptional when created by someone with impressive skill. I chose this quote because I would like to emphasize on how the writer for this article is completely correct. There will always be good and bad artists, no matter what and no matter where you are. In graffiti, anything can be accepted as art because it's all about the artist being who they are when they are creating this art on the side of a building. It shouldn't matter if it is vandalism or not. At the end of the day, people will stop to look, admire, and appreciate what the artist did on that building. Not only does graffiti take impressive skill, but it also takes technical skill. Art ceases to be art without freedom of expression, and perhaps graffiti exercises this right more than any other medium. Status doesn't matter, and the lack of limitations allow graffiti artists to break conventions and push boundaries to create even more exciting and arguable, more authentic works of art. At first, I talked about what type of skills and how there will always be a good and bad artist, and now I would like to talk about what it means when these artists are drawing graffiti. Graffiti has always been proven that it is an act of freedom of expression. These wonderfully talented artists seems to start drawing with a clear set of mind of what they want their piece to stay. Graffiti is most artists' therapy, though they paint to relieve everything they have going on off their shoulders, and on the wall it goes. Graffiti is worth 1,000 words. If graffiti is vandalism, why do people pay to see free art? Why do people pay for these artists' paintings? In a different article called Graffiti Art, Why Graffiti is Art and Not Vandalism, it states, even though graffiti is generally free to access, more and more people are willing to pay to see some of the most magnificent works in the city of choice. Bold colors, shapes, and patterns are key features of this art form, and When artists let their imaginations run wild, their creations instantly transforms drab spaces into places people are excited to be. I specifically chose this quote because if art was vandalism, then why are people willing to pay to see it when it's free access in any city of choice? Take this as an example. When you go to an art museum, you pay for your entrance so you can see unlimited amount of art pieces created by many different artists. You are paying to see art. Well, same concept goes for the artists who draw graffiti only. Difference is that these art pieces are in places of free of access, but they look so surreal that people are willing to pay to see the beauty of piece of artwork. Just like in an art museum, you may see people interested in making an offer to be purchased. Well, the same way that these people are able to buy museum art is the same way that graffiti can be offered to buy. Anyone arguing that graffiti isn't art may struggle to explain why people have paid so much for it in recent years. For example, Untitled by Jean Michel sold for a huge $110.5 million in 2017, the most expensive American painting to ever sell at an auction at the time. Not everyone would agree that an artwork's value is determined by its price tag. However, the fact that graffiti can sell for such a high value is determined by its high sum proves the respect and prestige it has generated within the art community, and therefore be entirely reductive to claim all graffiti is mere vandalism. To continue, I will dig deeper on how education connects with graffiti. And another article that I encountered called "Can Graffiti Be Used to Facilitate Learning?" It states, it may seem unusual to consider graffiti as a part of classroom. However, the extraordinary art form has immense potential as an educational tool. Use of graffiti encourages students to stimulate and rely on four primary approaches towards learning: observation, analysis, imagination, and feeling. The use of the symbols, shapes, and colors, images, and statements allow students to visualize the information and create vibrant displays of their thought and perceptions. If graffiti was vandalism, then why are these kids learning about graffiti in a classroom environment? Kids tend to like the different colors, shapes, and new and different things to look at. They tend to find it fascinating, and that is exactly what graffiti is. When kids get older, they will understand that behind the shapes and the colors of graffiti, there's a meaning to it. This also shows how helpful using graffiti in a classroom can teach students. Not only are they learning from this experience, but they are also exploring new thoughts, ideas, emotions, etc. These young kids are exploring different ways to cope with things that may be happening in their life. Some of these kids may even become a graffiti artist, and if that is the case, they will still have time to gain their skill and learn the different techniques that they use in graffiti art. In the same article, it says, as a cooperative learning strategy, graffiti promotes the development of various learning skills. Brainstorming, logical reasoning, recall of facts, and and being sensitive to the views of others. It also motivates students who are creative and shy to actively participate and express their ideas. Graffiti is not just a painting. Graffiti can say more than words can. That's why teachers tend to use it in their classroom, so the kids can express everything that they are learning in the classroom. Graffiti is a great way that kids can create what they remember and maybe even the reasoning behind it. Graffiti has taken a big impact in the education field, and it's not going to stop there. It's going to keep growing into the environment and into the communities. And lastly, I will briefly go over two interviews that I found of actual graffiti artists. So in the first article, artist Loretto Lizio says, when you have a lot of emotion to put into an artwork, it says so much more than if you have this happy, perfect life and you're painting daisies all day. From a real artist's point of view, graffiti painting isn't just a painting, it has emotions. it has a meaning or a saying. Graffiti is a lot more than just art. They are the artist's life story, experiences, and situations. Artists put time and dedication into their work so the audience can have an inside look at their lives. In the last article, by EKOSE22 says, if any advice at all, I would say be persistent but be smart. All I know is graffiti, if that's what you really love and you work hard at it, all comes together. Don't be scared to get out there and put it in time. This isn't a label, it's a lifestyle that not everyone's fit for, and that's okay. You can still have fun and do it right, even if it's just a momentary hobby. Just remember, if that's what you do, others are in this for life. This quote shows that to be a graffiti artist, you must put yourself out there to the world, and you must put in that time and commitment to your artwork. The graffiti art industry isn't for everyone. Why? Because graffiti is more than just art. If graffiti was just art, then everyone would create graffiti as a hobby. But for people like Loretto and EKOSE22, they make it more than just a hobby. They make it their way of living. In conclusion, graffiti has a lot of impact on many people, like the artists themselves, their audience, communities, classrooms, etc. Graffiti is used in various ways, and it wasn't then it would just be considered another famous painting inside of an art gallery or museum. Therefore, graffiti is much more than just vandalism. Graffiti is an amazing art that comes from a person with lots of emotions and passion for the work that they do on the outside of the buildings, or maybe even inside buildings. Graffiti is used everywhere around the world, and it's even used by teachers. They are using graffiti to encourage their kids in the classroom to express themselves as a person. And then this is just my works I did. Thank you.